Ladies and gentlemen, it's not just election season in India. The UK too is gearing up for a heated political battle. And if we go by a recent survey, Narayan Murthy's son-in-law and UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has a tough battle to fight ahead. A public poll by UK's YouGov suggests that Rishi Sunak and his Conservative Party are headed for a massive defeat in the upcoming elections. The reasons that are attributed to this downfall are what British citizens think are repeated policy failures, unfulfilled promises, and rising cost of living. As the country battles recession as well, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak risks losing his seat. YouGov interviewed 18,761 British adults between the 7th and the 27th of March that resulted in a projected landslide victory for the Labour Party. Rishi Sunak has frequently spoken about the Conservative Party's goals, such as reducing inflation, reducing national debt, improving the NHS, stopping illegal migrants, a big issue, by the way, that has taken centre stage in UK, and of course, reviving the economy from recession. But remember, Rishi Sunak is an unelected Prime Minister. He assumed the role after former Prime Minister Liz Truss's 6-week tenure ended in her resignation. So let's try and understand what the situation is in UK and how really are the Tories seeing this survey. On the broadcast, I'm joined by Dr. Yukteshwar Kumar. He's the Deputy Chairperson of the Conservative Party. He's joining us from the UK. I'm also joined by Pathikrit Pain, geopolitical analyst. Good evening and namaskar to both of you. Dr. Yukteshwar, let me start with you. This survey clearly is not something that's going to make the Conservative Party very happy. But how much of it do you actually agree with?
Well, surveys before 6 months of elections means nothing. We have seen many opinion polls in many countries, and they do not reflect the real situation. Yes, I agree that Conservative Party's reputation is not at the best in the country, but things can change very, very soon. Rishi Sunak is a great Prime Minister. I have met him multiple times, and being the deputy chair of my party here in Bath, which is just 150 miles from London, we are doing great works. The father of the house, the former father of the house, MP Sir Jacob Rees-Mogg, I and my team go to meet and door knock almost every single day. And people know what the Liberal Democrats, Green,
it's interesting that you say that the survey means nothing 6 months before the election. Because the fact of the matter is that we've also seen British citizens, being not very happy with the way the COVID crisis was handled by the Rishi Sunak-led government. There was an inquiry also. Then there's the concern about the NHS. There is, of course, the economic challenges that UK faces. And now, of course, amid the war, there have been ripple effects of the wars as well, both wars. Clearly, there is some sort of dissent among the citizens, among the voters as well.
Well, of course, there is a dissent, but I most humbly disagree with your points that when Rishi Sunak was the Chancellor of the country, he was the best person in the world to tackle the COVID crisis. Hundreds and thousands of people were given support by the government, and no any government in the world gave that much support as Rishi did in our country. Then, of course, Rishi Sunak and the party is amidst a problem, not because of domestic problems, but because of the international problems. The problems arising from China because of COVID, the problems because of Russia and Ukraine war, then Israel-Palestine conflict, and all these have huge impact on the economy of the country. our party has been in the power for more than 14 years. So there is an incumbency factor as well. We do understand Boris Johnson's, he was doing very well, but basically people in the UK, they don't like lies, untruth, and canards. I repeat the word canard, C-A-N-A-R-D. Many British people also do not know this word. And that's why I was repeating this word. Now, because of canards of some of
Okay.
our senior colleagues and party members, the reputation is not very good. But Rishi Sunak, a great economist, one of the best person to lead the country at this time, one of
All
the
right.
best economists as well.
All
Because
right. Let me also
yes,
get in
go ahead,
Pathikrit
please.
Pain into this discussion, Dr. Yukteshwar. Pathikrit, do you agree with what Dr. Yukteshwar is saying, that it's, the domestic issues have been handled as much as they could have been at that time? It's the external factors that are basically influencing whatever is happening in UK, and that perhaps, this survey is just probably bogus and not telling us the actual picture of what people think of Rishi Sunak and his government.
Well, Shreya, I mean, it's not a question of whether Rishi Sunak is a good prime minister or a bad prime minister. I'm sure he's a very good man, and I'm sure he tried his best. The issue is this. Number one, you had a devastating pandemic. Mr. Yukteshwar can have his own version, but I think no country did as much as India did, given its population, in terms of dealing with the challenges of COVID. The issue is this. You had COVID related problems, you had post pandemic supply chain related issues on which even countries like India have been working on development of something called resilient supply chains. The question is whether UK has worked on those issues or not. Number two, when you talk about external factors, including the Ukraine-Russia war, I mean, here is a war in which United Kingdom has gone gung-ho to support Ukraine. There are so many allegations on United Kingdom itself and its involvement in the sabotage of the Nord Stream pipeline, and because of which there are, including the sanctions on Russia, because of which there has been a disproportionate rise in the price of energy in the whole of Europe, and most of the economies of Europe, including that of United Kingdom, is in deep recession. That cannot be denied. And also, as a result of the rise in the price of energy because of the conflict in which United Kingdom completely supported Ukraine and never did anything worthwhile to actually prevent the conflict, the prices have gone up in United Kingdom also. So there is a recession problem. There is an issue with subsidies. There is an issue with supply chains. There is an issue of Chinese overwhelming dependence on China, overwhelming dependence of United Kingdom on China for manufacturing. The jobs are coming down. Subsidy is an issue. So United Kingdom as a country, irrespective of whoever becomes the prime minister or was the prime minister, has been trying to bite much more than what it can chew to do as a country. So whether all these things have been managed is something what the common citizen will look for. Or is it that the United Kingdom government of today is giving that kind of subsidy, or is it a position to subsidize people to that extent that they were doing in the past? No. What have they done anything to, knowing well that this war will create energy related issues? No. So frankly speaking, yes, you can say incumbency is an issue. You can also say that reality is that people don't care what United Kingdom think about how the world should be. But on every issue, what happens, whatever United States does, United Kingdom just follows them and then is in a bad shape. That is one issue that is plaguing. And that's the reason, let me tell you, Shreya, Liz Truss became the prime minister. She just stayed for 50 days because she knew the condition that of the United Kingdom economy was, and whoever would remain, the prime minister will have to bear the brunt. So, Rishi Sunak as an individual tried his level best,
also
but
the
I think there's a
point,
limitation of what we can
Pathikrit,
do.
that Rishi Sunak was not elected originally as the Prime Minister of UK. Dr. Yukteshwar, do you think that also is seen something by British citizens as something which was not, not something right that Rishi Sunak had done in the past when he did finally become the Prime Minister? He was not elected as the Prime Minister after elections. Do you think that is also held against him?
Well, no. In the British political system, the leader of the political party, and if they are in the government, they become the prime minister. the MPs of our party, they unanimously elected him first as the leader of the Conservative Party after Liz Truss resigned.
No, but let's talk
And
about what
in
happened
those
before that, Dr.
situations,
Yukteshwar. The fact that he was with Boris Johnson and then he eventually ended up writing against him.
of course, even I wrote against Boris Johnson. There is no problem because we don't like politicians who spread canards. But the party came together, the MPs came together, and after Liz Truss, because of her debacle in the economic policies, if you remember, pound slid so much that from today's 105.6 for a rupee, it was 93 rupees in Liz Truss time. So economy was not very good, of course, and she did not handle the policies well. And then all the MPs, the member of the parliament, they all selected one of the greatest prime minister of our country. And Rishi Sunak, during those troubled times, he put the economy on a very, very good path. And I do not know from where you are saying that, number one, that UK is reliant on China. I am a Chinese expert. I speak Chinese like a Chinese, and I have been researching on China for the last 36 years. UK is not reliant on China, number one. Number two, UK is not in recession as well. Now, yes, 2 months ago, because in 2 quarters, the economy went down a bit by 0.3% negative, but now we are in positive against whatever was predicted by the IMF. Rishi Sunak and our team has done even better. So our inflation, which was 12.4% at a time, is now 4%, just 4%, and it will become
Dr.
below
Yukteshwar,
2%
let me just ask you
after
then
a
at
few
this
months.
point, if there is everything that's going right for the UK right now, and if Rishi Sunak has done everything right, then why is this survey showing him, and why are various polls across UK showing that he is, at one of his lowest ratings and predicting a massive defeat for your party?
I am not gainsaying the fact, I again repeat, I'm not gainsaying the fact that the party, the conservative parties, its reputation among people is at the best. Yes, it is at the worst. I don't decline that fact. But why? Because of multiple reasons, and if you allow me time, I can tell that. But the facts, main facts, which we must agree to, that UK is not under recession. UK's employment rate is much, much better than many developed countries. UK economy is growing. UK's inflation rate, which was, as I said earlier, about 12.4% at a time, which was never in the last 20, 25 years. Now it is under 4.6%, and it will become under 2%. So I'm not saying that it is everything is good because of the illegal immigrants and legal immigrants factors as well. Because
Which
of people,
is
as
what
I
I was
told you,
coming
number
to
one,
next,
it is
Dr.
not because of
Yukteshwar.
Rishi
One of the
Sunak.
biggest concerns right now in the UK has been immigration. But Pathikrit, let me get you in on this. I know we've talked about this earlier as well, that immigration and illegal immigration is, a concern across the world at this point in time. But in the UK, now Rishi Sunak is coming up with tighter laws on illegal immigration. He, in fact, last year also, acted as an immigration officer for one day, and they had more than 100 arrests that day. But do you think it's too little too late that has been done in this case?
Steve, frankly, Prime Minister Rishi Sunak, is a British citizen, so he is doing absolutely what is good for United Kingdom in terms of trying to create, an ecosystem which will prevent illegal immigration. But you're absolutely right; it's too little, too late. And secondly, there is an impression, in whole of United Kingdom that ideally they should not have had somebody who is of Indian origin or Asian origin as a prime minister. So there's a bias And that bias issue came up even when he was nominated as a prime minister. So I think he is going over the board to show that, no, I am as British as rest are. I'm trying to curb illegal immigration. But majority of the illegal immigration, as it happens today, primarily happens from Pakistan, from Africa, in many and it is creating problems. There are issues of law and order coming up as a result of illegal immigration. There are issues coming up at how much you can subsidize the illegal immigrants, because if you cannot, then they are creating other disturbances in the society. And invariably, post-Brexit challenges have not been managed well. I have high regards for Dr. Yukteshwar Kumar, because he is speaking on behalf of his party and he has the right to defend. Nobody is saying that Rishi Sunak is not a good person or is not a good prime minister, but the challenges of United Kingdom as part of Europe today is such that whatever they might try to say and do, it is a reality. Technically, they have been into recession. Even if you have 0.5% growth rate, at a time when many of the other countries are going at 7 to 10%, it is very difficult for United Kingdom to create that kind of jobs. There is a dependence on China. When I said, it doesn't mean that China is better than United Kingdom. You have a dependence on them in terms of a substantial number of goods and services coming from China, and you depending on them to export your goods and services as well. It is a European problem. It is not necessarily. And unfortunately, for the sake of showing liberalism, United Kingdom have allowed large number of illegal immigrants coming in without doing any kind of checks and balances. So Eastern Europe today is far more stable than Western Europe, including United Kingdom. Issues of economy and, of course, the price of energy and inflation. It is not going to die down so soon. The war is not going to end. Look at this. United Kingdom and other countries of Europe, Shreya, today are buying the same oil from Russia via a third country called India because of the sanctions they have put on Russia. So there are challenges they have created for themselves, and they have to. The common man will not understand. So the common man will vote for whoever gives them more facilities, even if it will destroy the economy. Labour Party will come and become populistic. Is it going to help the UK economy? No, because Rishi Sunak was doing the right things in terms of creating the economy far more stable. Sometimes those actions are unpalatable for the common voter, and that is why he's feeling the brunt. So eventually, what happens? The Conservative will also actually lose in the purse, and it will create more problems in the long run for the British economy. Back to you, Shreya.
Okay, let me give in a last word to Dr. Yukteshwar. Dr. Yukteshwar, from here on, how do you plan to take this forward, and how do you plan to improve these ratings, which are clearly looking not so good for the Conservative Party?
I entirely agree that opinion polls at the moment are predicting that our party is not doing good. And there has been setbacks in multiple by-elections, both in the council levels and at MP level. In my just neighboring constituency, Frome and other places, we lost by few hundred votes or 1,000 votes rather, which was our seat. So it is a problem. I'm not gainsaying that our ratings are not at the best. But how to tackle is to tell people that the only party which can come into the power is Labour here. Liberal Democrats and Greens have only one seat. Lib Dems are not going to get more than 20 seats. So the only party which can come is Labour on its own. And Labour are known to not to do good with economy. In last time, which was in 2010, the Prime Minister and the Exchequer said there is no money left for the Conservative Party when we came into the power in 2010.
So, Dr. Yukteshwar, we'll have to see how this really pans out for your party as well as the Labour Party. We'll leave it there. I have paucity of time to you, Dr. Yukteshwar and Pathikrit Pain. Thank you very much to both of you gentlemen for joining us on Nation Tonight and sharing your thoughts on the big fight and the big battle that Rishi Sunak faces ahead. Thank you very much. All right, let's move on. The entire world is reeling from layoffs, hiring freezes and other cost-cutting features. For years, premium Indian institutes like the IIM and IIT have boasted of 100% placement. But the latest batch of students from IIT Bombay were with 36% failing to secure placements. Concerns about unemployment in India are on the rise. Out of approximately 2,000 students who registered for the 2024 placements, a staggering 36% or 712 students are yet to find jobs. In light of such reports, IIT Bombay has now issued a clarification and claimed an exit survey among the graduating students in 2022-23 says only 6.1% are still looking for jobs.
So how this works at IITs, initially you need to show the interest. Okay, I'm going to appear for this year's placement. After that, the companies will conduct PPTs, then they will conduct tests, and at the final thing, they will be conducting interviews. And you will have to crack those interviews. Having said that, obviously we need to consider the current economic situation. If you look at COVID, Russia-Ukraine war, so this has impacted the current job scenario. At the same time, if you consider startups in India, so they are also trying to focus on profitability because they want to have longer runway period. They want to sustain in the market. So which is right at their part.
With that, let's